I don't want cattle and dogs in the streets of India. No developed country has that. Because of a failed policy, nobody can deny that there is a problem. There is a health and safety problem. Everybody is now triggered. So everybody is coming out and giving their opinion. I think this trigger will lead to a discussion and let everybody else who's very deeply concerned about this issue go back to the Supreme Court and say what they can do and ask for a review. But all I'm saying is that this has triggered something. The fact that you're even interviewing me today is because of the judgment. If the judgment is not there,
Which side are you on?
I am on the side of health and safety. So every day people are getting mauled. It's a common man's problem.
Every day.
Every day. If you dispute my statistics, please check them yourself.
I have to check. I have to check.
Please, you mean to say are there days in which dogs don't bite? If there are 6 crore dogs in this country, when I say every day and you're disputing that number, that obviously means there are certain days when dogs don't bite. So maybe you should educate me on that.
I mean, Menka Gandhi said that the judge was in some sort of anger.
If the policies which she herself has been championing all these years had been implemented and had been effective, this judgment would not have come. The status quo needs to change.
Hello and welcome to the Indian Express. I'm Charulata Biswas and today I'm being joined by Congress MP Karti Chidambaram from Tamil Nadu. And he's one of the parliamentarians who is quite vocal about the stray dogs issue, or shall I say menace. That's how you call this whole issue.
See, there are 6 crore stray dogs in India by the last estimate. We
Estimate
from various sources.
Okay.
I don't think we have an accurate census.
Okay.
We have the largest amount of rabies deaths in the world.
Right.
We spend the maximum amount of money on rabies vaccines in the world. There are thousands of dog bite cases every single day. There are traffic accidents which are caused by street dogs. So this is a health and safety problem.
Okay.
So this has to be addressed. And the people who are most affected by this health and safety problem are people who walk to work, who don't have gated communities, who don't travel in cars, who travel in two-wheelers, and typically come from the lower end of the economic spectrum.
Right.
So this is a common man's problem. This needs to be sorted out. The Ministry of Animal Husbandry does not take ownership.
Dogs are the problem, or?
Of course, the fact that the dogs are in a free roaming state is a problem. I mean, dogs have a right to life. I completely understand that. But no developed country in the world has dogs in a free roaming state in the streets. So dogs have to be in private spaces. They have to be collared, they have to be neutered, and they have to be vaccinated. You can't have free roaming dogs in the streets which are unvaccinated and unneutered. So that is a problem, that causes the problem. But you need to have ethical, humane solutions to remove them from public areas,
Right.
house them either in private homes or in facilities. They must be neutered and they must be vaccinated. That is how all countries deal with it. We can't aspire to be a global power and have a street dog problem. And a street dog is a problem. And as I said, it's a problem which affects the common person. It affects the economically marginalized. It affects the poor. It affects the people who walk to work, who go about their daily life by walking. It does not affect people
Sure,
in large compounds with in gated communities. It does not affect people who go in cars.
Right. Coming to the Supreme Court order from yesterday, where they said that you need to round up all the stray dogs in Delhi NCR, and we are talking about close to 8 to 10 lakhs, and this data is from PETA. Do you think, you said, we need to have a humane approach towards this menace. Do you think what Supreme
I
Court
didn't use
said,
the word menace. I said it's a health and safety problem.
the health and safety problem, do you
caused
think
by
the order
See,
actually...
it's a drastic order. I understand it's a drastic order, but why did this drastic order happen? It's because the ABC policy, which is the animal birth control policy, which has been in vogue for many years, has failed. Because the animal birth control policy stipulated that street dogs would be captured, neutered, vaccinated, and let back into their natural habitat. And the mandate for doing that was given to the local bodies. No local body had the wherewithal to do it. They did not have the budgets, they did not have the infrastructure, they did not have the personnel to effectively implement it. Because of a failed policy, this problem has become a bigger problem. And because the problem has become a bigger problem, the Supreme Court has taken suo motu cognizance and has come up with a drastic order. I understand the order is drastic. This order perhaps can't be implemented in the short span of time because it requires huge resources and it requires huge manpower and kind of mobilizing everything. Maybe the Delhi government can't implement it. Maybe there are better solutions than this. But what this order has done is that it's triggered a public debate. I've spoken about this in Parliament. That did not
Yes.
create a public debate.
Just last month.
I met
Yeah.
the Prime Minister. That did not create a public debate. I've written articles that did not create a public
Yes.
debate.
Yes.
But the fact that the Supreme Court has come up with a suo motu order has created a public debate, and every stakeholder, the people who are
Right.
affected by dogs, who want drastic solutions, people who bat for ethical treatment of animals, everybody is now triggered. So everybody is coming out and giving their opinion. I think this trigger will lead to a discussion and hopefully to some sort of a consensus which will deal with the problem. But the point is, nobody can deny that there is a problem. There is a health and safety problem, and that needs to be addressed. And maybe
Absolutely.
this Supreme Court order, drastic as it may be, will trigger and lead to a solution.
And do you think this will lead to a solution because we have only been given 8 weeks of
No,
time?
no. See, as I said, people who feel aggrieved by this or the
I mean,
Delhi.
Menka Gandhi said that the judge was in some sort of anger. The
See, the
judgment came
point
out of
is
some
that
sort of anger.
the order has come about because of the drastic situation we are in. If the policies which she herself has been championing all these years had been implemented and had been effective, this judgment would not have come. We would not have reached a situation by which this judgment need to be given. I understand the judgment is drastic. I understand the judgment is giving a very short time span to implement. I understand the Delhi administration might not have the wherewithal to implement the judgment in toto in this short span of time. But let them go back to the Supreme Court and tell what they can do. Let everybody else who's very deeply concerned about this issue go back to the Supreme Court and say what they can do and ask for a review or whatever. But all I'm saying is that this has triggered something. The fact that you're even interviewing me today is because of the judgment. If the judgment is
Which
not there,
side are you on?
I am on the side of health and safety. I don't want cattle and dogs in the streets of India. No developed country has that. I want dogs to be housed. I want them to be collared. I want them to be vaccinated. I want them to be neutered. I want them to be treated humanely. And those who feel strongly for them must obviously must have the liberty to how to house them and to adopt them and to pet them. I have dogs myself. But you can't have stray cattle and street dogs, and no developed country has it. I mean, if we want to be a global leader. We call ourselves the third largest economy. We want to lead the world in so many sectors. Do you think any country which aspires to be where we want to be has a street dog problem? Can you give me a comparable example? Do you think any of the permanent members of the Security Council of the United Nations have a street dog problem? Do the G7 countries have a street dog problem?
But let me take it to the local bodies and
Yeah.
the municipal authorities. Do you think there has been an oversight?
No
The kind
oversight.
of situation that we
See,
are looking at, the sterilization that needs to be done, the neutering that needs to be done, the kind of oversight which I'm not saying, I'm talking about the organization, the non-profit
See-
organization, they are saying that they haven't received ample amount of support from the local authorities.
See,
Do you think there is an oversight?
local bodies, if you understand anything about local government, most local bodies are broke. They barely make enough income to pay their salaries of their
The
employees.
monitoring committee also.
There is no money. Where is the money being given to local bodies to neuter and to vaccinate dogs? Where is the personnel to capture dogs so that they can undergo this procedure? Where are the holding stations for these dogs? Even if you have to neuter them, you have to capture them, neuter them, and keep them in a safe area for a few days before you let them out. Where is the space? Which local body has it? So while we framed the policy, we gave zero resources to implement the policy. When whose responsibility was it to give that resources? Was it the central government's? Central government washes its hands off. The state government says it's the local body's problem.
Right.
It's everybody's problem, but nobody's got the solution. So that's why this drastic judgment has come. This drastic judgment has not come at the first instance. This drastic
Is
judgment.
this a knee-jerk reaction?
It is not. It's a reaction. It's not a knee-jerk reaction. It's a reaction to what's happening every day. I mean, do you know there are thousands of dog bite cases every day? Even now, I just heard there were 2 college students who've been mauled by stray dogs in Karnataka. So every day, people are getting mauled. It's a common man's problem.
Every day.
Every day. If you dispute my statistics, please check them yourself.
I have to check.
Yeah.
I have to check.
Please, you mean to say are there days in which dogs don't bite? If there are 6 crore dogs in this country, if you when I say every day and you're disputing that number, that obviously means there are certain days when dogs don't bite. So maybe you should educate me on that.
Do you think there's lack of awareness among people about how
I
they
think
should
it's I
be
think I
around the
think
stray
I
dogs,
think it's
or
because it's a common man's problem. I think the people who have the economic and the articulation resources don't pay attention to it. I think it's the problem of the people who walk in the streets for their daily life, and people go in two-wheelers and nobody bats for them enough. I am batting for dogs as well. Dogs definitely need to be housed humanely, but
yeah.
they can't be in a free roaming state in the streets.
What kind of policy design are you looking at right now
See,
at the
I'm not the
national level? Or
repository of all
I mean,
knowledge.
you have represented. You brought this up in the parliament. You talked about 38 lakh dog bites cases. You talked about rabies, and it's really important for me to now know that, other than just talking about it, what kind of practical
See,
implementation you want to see,
see,
and who has to take the
see,
responsibility here?
the funding. I believe that we
I
need a
mean,
national task
Delhi
force.
Chief Minister Rekha Gupta, she said that, she will do everything to put the order in place and implement it.
That
Do you
remains to be
agree
seen.
with her?
See, if she's
You're
really
supporting
sincere,
her?
if she's really sincere in implementing the order, fair enough. But she must build shelters, which is not going to be that easy within 8 weeks, and she has to find the land to
Absolutely.
build. And
Yeah.
the shelters have to be designed in such a way that it will stand scrutiny from animal rights activists, that they are
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
ethical and scientific
Yeah.
manner. So I don't know whether she can do it in 8 weeks. But if that's her intent, I mean, I can only pass judgment after the fact. I can't question her intent right now. But what we
Yeah.
need is a national task force, an operating procedure, and resources, and
Okay.
manpower, and
Okay.
training, and perhaps a public partnership of all those who feel very strongly about the issue to volunteer their time as well, time and energy and effort. See, in India,
Absolutely.
volunteerism is only on
Do you think
paper.
the animal haters to
There are no animal
should?
haters. Please, somebody who wants
Okay.
safety on the street is not an animal hater.
But
So
there are
then you
people
would
who
say that,
feel.
would you think say that anybody who eats meat is an animal hater?
Absolutely not.
No, how can you say
I'm
that
just
they're
saying
animal
that there
haters?
are two extremes,
They
right?
are not animal haters. They just want they want safety in the streets. They don't want to be attacked by stray cattle or dogs. That's it.
Let me put it this way. Do you think people who want safety and they do not want stray dogs, they are supporting the Supreme Court order? Do you think they should give the animal lovers a chance,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
talk to them and probably
No,
come
no, it's really
to a
up to
consensus?
it's really implementing authority has to be government. Private partnership with implementing authority is most welcome. If there are private organizations, NGOs, citizens group which want to participate with the government in neutering and vaccinating and removing them from public spaces, they must be welcome to do it. But you must also encourage adoption. This business that I would
Adoption,
like
yeah.
stray dogs, but in street dogs, but I like them for 15
Have
minutes a
you
day.
adopted?
No, I have not adopted. I have
No.
one dog from a shelter in one of
Okay.
my houses, but the two at home in my
Indie?
principal, it's not an indie though.
Okay. Okay. Rahul Gandhi also tweeted about it, and he said, let me just read it out to you, that the
I've read it.
SC's directive to remove all stray dogs from Delhi NCR is a step back from decades of humane, science-backed policy. What is
See,
your
the
reaction?
science-backed policy, ABC could be a science-backed policy, but it was not implemented. The reason it was not implemented properly is because it was not funded properly. So there is an implementation problem. In India, on paper, we have a solution for all problems,
Absolutely.
but we don't implement them. The reason we don't implement them is either we don't have the will or we don't have the resources. In this
There is a
case,
lack of political will, do
I
you
don't
think
say
so?
this is a lack of will. I think the onus was given to local bodies, and local bodies did not have the resources. I mean, I represent a rural constituency. I know how panchayats function there. Panchayats don't have the resources, and they don't prioritize, neutering and vaccinating dogs where they should be. Even there are dog bites in villages on a daily basis.
Rounding up of stray dogs, you agree with this or
See,
no?
the rounding up is of the order of the Supreme Court
You
is a
know that they
drastic.
have a territory, right? Dogs,
Fine,
they have
but the
territories, and if you
territory
pick
is
them
fine.
up and put them somewhere
But if
else.
they had been neutered and vaccinated all along now, maybe their population would have been decimated. But then there is also another problem of food waste being thrown about. So you need to have a holistic solution. I'm only saying that we need to have a solution. I'm not ever suggesting that you need to have only a drastic solution. But the Supreme Court's order is drastic. I completely agree. But the Supreme Court's order has not come out of isolation. It has come out of because of series of disease and accidents and bite cases which are being highlighted every single day. That is why the Supreme Court has come, because the present policies, if somebody says the status quo is good enough, I don't agree with that. The status quo is not good enough. The status quo needs to change. What is the status quo? There are dogs in a free roaming state in the streets of India, which are unvaccinated and unneutered. That is unacceptable. So how do you decimate their population over a period of time? As you decimate the population, how can you make it safe for the people who are pedestrians or going on two wheelers? That you need to vaccinate all of them. If you are going to vaccinate all of them, how are you going to monitor that vaccination? Are you going to put a chip on every dog? Are you going to collar every dog? You can't have uncollared, unchipped, unvaccinated, unneutered dogs in the streets. So, I mean, whether you
Okay.
want to keep them in the streets, whether or you think that because they're territorial, or you're going to move them into a shelter, because for shelter requires resources and requires space, that each body can decide. But no action is not a solution. Status quo is not acceptable.
Thank you so much, Karti. Thank you so much for giving your time, and thank you for bringing this issue out even before anyone did
No, no, I
in the
really think it was
parliament.
only
And
only the drastic
but
order of
can
the.
I ask you something? Why are you so concerned? I mean, I understand there are bigger things,
No, this is a big
but
thing.
this is a
I
big
like to talk
thing. But
about issues which nobody talks about. That's why if you look at my interventions in Parliament, I talk about
do you
civil
have any
scores.
personal
No,
experience
no, I
as
don't have any
well?
bad experience with
No.
dogs. I really like dogs. I talk about issues which don't necessarily fall into a political constituency. That's why I talk about street dogs. I talk about civil scores. I talk about the pain of KYC, or the fraudulent online education courses which are going around. I
Anything
talk
that directly affects the
affects
citizens.
the
Yeah.
average citizen, particularly the lower middle class and the average citizen, not the elite class. So sometimes we only in this country we talk either about the elite class, or we talk about, say, a large class of people like farmers and things like that. The people in the middle are forgotten, and I'd like to be the voice for the people in the middle.
Last question. Do you think humans and dogs can coexist
Of course, we
together?
have
Because
coexisted
most of the
for.
land, as much as this land is mine, I think it
Absolutely,
is
absolutely. We will
the animals
coexist.
as well,
We
right?
have coexisted with the dogs and other animals for thousands and thousands of years, and we will coexist with them. But there has to be a balance. There has to be a control. I mean, you can't have them in a free roaming state. Yes, please adopt them, keep them in your homes, or keep them in shelters. That is my point.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.